Now God says, no price is worthy of a continent soul. All that man prizes and esteems, riches, pleasures, honor, bear no comparison to a continent soul. Saint Ephraim calls chastity the life of the Spirit. Saint Peter Damian styles it the queen of virtues. And Saint Cyprian says, by means of chastity, we celebrate the most glorious triumphs. How frightful is the war that the flesh wages to rob us of this precious pearl. Our body is the most powerful weapon the devil possesses to make us his slaves. Saint Lawrence Justinian says, how many unfortunate persons there are who yield to sensuality and gave up their holy life, and with the loss of chastity suffered the loss of God. He therefore who would preserve the virtue of chastity must use the greatest precaution. Says St. Charles Borromeo, it is impossible for you to remain chaste unless you constantly watch over yourself. It is not the wicked thoughts in themselves that are sins, but the yielding or consenting to them. Sin is the deliberate yielding to temptation with complete knowledge and with full consent. As sinful actions separate us from God, so wicked thoughts rob us of His grace. Says Saint Antoninus, as often as you resist temptation, so often do you merit a crown. To overcome a temptation of impurity, Saint Benedict rolled himself in a bed of thorns, and Saint Peter of Alcantara plunged into the ice-cold water of a pond. When Saint Paul was tempted against holy purity, he sought the Lord, and the Lord said to him, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is made perfect in weakness. Next to the enticement comes pleasure. If the temptation is not rejected at once, a certain pleasure is experienced, and this it is that hurries one on to consent. The first means consists in humbling oneself continually before God. We must place all our confidence in God. The second means is to have immediate recourse to God without stopping to consider the temptation. The best thing to do is to pronounce the holy names of Jesus and Mary and continue to pronounce them until the temptation is overcome. The names of Jesus and Mary have particular efficacy against the temptations of the devil. The third means consists in often receiving the sacraments of penance and Holy Eucharist. A fourth means is devotion to the Immaculate Mother of God, the Virgin of Virgins. Oh, how many have kept themselves pure as angels by devotion to this blessed Queen of Angels. Other means are avoidance of idleness, for idleness is the devil's workshop, modesty of the eyes, and diligence in avoiding the occasions of sin. Nearly all the passions that assail us have their origin in the unrestrained liberty of the eyes. It is our unguarded looks that awaken in us inordinate inclinations and passions. St. Augustine says, "From the look proceeds the thought, and from the thought the desire." The devil tempts man first to look, then to desire, and at last to consent. A voluntary glance at a person of the opposite sex may be an infernal spark that will cause the ruin of the soul. It was the eyes that occasioned the fall of David, a man according to God's own heart. Many others have gone to destruction through their eyes. As Christians, if we wish to preserve chastity, we must be blind insofar that we look at nothing which would awaken unclean thoughts within us. To this end, we are exhorted by the Holy Ghost, "Gaze not upon another's beauty, for hereby lust is enkindled as a fire." The deliberate gaze is followed by sinful imaginations which enkindle the unholy fire. The saints have been exceedingly cautious about their eyes. How very imprudent and rash is the conduct of those who gaze unconcernedly at persons of the opposite sex, and yet expect to remain free from temptations and the danger of sin. Says St. Francis de Sales, "What is injurious to us is not so much the casual glance, but rather the intentional gaze." It is well to remember that the custody of the eyes is useful not only for our own sanctification, but also for the edification of others. Says St. Ambrose, "We must rule over ourselves by subduing our evil passions in order to win heaven, which Jesus Christ has merited for us."